Yo guys, what's up? It's ItsOGXRAYZ and welcome back to another video here on COD Declassified. Today we're going to be going over some of the best tips and settings here for Warzone. I want to talk to you guys about controller settings, audio settings, pretty much everything to give you the competitive advantage in Warzone. Let's go ahead and jump into it. If you guys enjoy the video, drop a like. It's super appreciated, incredibly helpful. And if you are new to the channel, obviously make sure you guys are subscribed and have notifications on so you don't miss a single upload. But anyways, with that said, let's jump into it. So let's go over the button layout here. So BR button layout, I go with tactical. Now this is a really good layout if you're someone who's looking to be able to do more stuff without moving your hands from the analog sticks. You're able to slide with the right stick instead of meleeing. And then if you have a scuff controller, you're able to still melee rather easily with the circle button. The reason I mostly do this is because you can drop shot, you can slide into kills, you can do a whole bunch more with this button layout. So if you have a scuff controller, you're actually able to do a lot of jump shotting, drop shotting very easily with the tactical layout. I would highly recommend that you do this because it helps so much more. Believe me, give it a shot. As for dead zone, you can shift this around if you're having controller issues. Say you use your stick or there's a lot of drag when you're not touching your stick, you can set the dead zone to be tighter or bigger. So this one is just custom as well. You know, whatever you want to have, how much movement you want to have on your stick before it actually registers. So that's basically what that is. I just keep it at 0.05. I think that might just be the default. And again, this is based on whatever your personal preference is. As for the horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity, I keep mine at 6. That might be lower than some of you guys. This one's really a give and take. If you have a lower sensitivity, it makes it so that you have an easier time when you're trying to get kills and pop off kills at a distance when you're ADSing, but it makes it more difficult for you to turn on people. But on the other side of that spectrum, if you have it up a lot higher, you're able to turn on people, but it might be a little bit more difficult for you to get shots on people who are further away. So it's a trade-off. You know yourself better than I do. Personally, like me, I know that I need to have it a little bit at a lower end just because I know that my aim to me needs a little work still. And so maybe one day I'll be able to do higher sensitivity, but for me personally, 6 is a really comfortable one. And that's just what I like to do. As for the ADS sensitivity multiplier for low and high, this just makes it how much sensitivity you have when you're actually ADSing. So if you wanted to move around a lot when you have small circle motions or whatever, you can decide right there. So I like having this a little bit on the lower side just so that I have a little more precision when I'm ADSing, which you will find yourself in a lot of long range engagements in Warzone. So I just like to keep it at 0.88. So I think that's a little bit lower than the default. For the aim response curve types, I've seen so many people have different opinions on this one. I just use standard. I've seen some people use dynamic, some people use linear. If you really don't know what to do with this guy, I would just keep it at standard. That's usually the place to go with. With controller vibration, I disable it automatically. It helps with your aim. If you're getting shot at and your controller is rumbling, it can throw off your aim. So I just like having the controller vibration disabled. It makes it easier for me to aim and not get distracted by sudden vibrations on my controller. So I like having it off. A lot of people like having it off. Maybe some of you guys like that haptic feedback, but personally, I feel like it helps me focus more when I'm not dealing with that on top of flinch and all that stuff that's in game. Then you have your aim assist. I have mine set to standard, but you guys can see it has a lot of different options. If you're someone who really only wants the ADS to kick in at a closer range, then this one might be a good one for you. But also make sure you have really good accuracy, especially at a distance, because if you don't, you might want to swap over to focusing. Now this one just makes it so if you're barely missing people, then it helps you kind of correct it. It's a little stronger of an aim assist than some of the other ones. So this is really for people who are really just getting used to using sticks and stuff like that. So I personally have played for a long time. Standard is really what I look at because again, I don't have the most amazing accuracy when it comes to Warzone or really FPS games, so I like to keep it at standard. I don't need the extra helping me out with the ADS focusing, and I'm definitely not good enough for precision, and I think a lot of us sit in that same boat, so keep it at standard. That's usually what I would recommend. This is an interesting one here, and this is the setting that I keep in Warzone only. When I'm playing multiplayer, I swap it back over to tap to reload. But basically, contextual tap makes it so you're able to pick up items very, very quickly in the game. You don't have to hold down a button to reload. You don't have to hold down a button to open up a box or pick up an item off the ground. That was one of the things that I had the biggest issue when it came with Warzone, was I would want to pick up a weapon because I was getting attacked by someone as soon as we dropped. I was unable to pick it up because half the time I would run up to pick it up and it wouldn't pick it up because you had to hold down square. So contextual tap makes it so if you run over to a weapon, you just hit square, automatically picks it up. This is a little bit harder and more annoying in multiplayer because you literally will pick up weapons off the ground in multiplayer from just tapping. So in multiplayer, I put it just back to regular tap to reload. And then I have to hold down square if I want to pick up a weapon off the ground, etc. But if you're trying to, get faster at picking up weapons, opening up boxes, opening doors, etc., then, keep it at contextual tap. That's the tip that I would give you guys when it comes to use and reload in Warzone specifically. For slide behavior, I just keep that guy at hold. You really don't want to be sliding around when, sometimes you're trying to drop shot or something or prone out. So I just keep it at hold. It's just, in my opinion, the best way to do it. You can try out tap if you want to, give it a go. This makes it so that if you tap your stick or your slide button as you're running, you automatically slide. So, give it a shot. For me, it just wasn't working that well, so I kept it at hold. For auto move forward, and this is more of a preference as well, keep it disabled if you want to. I personally keep it disabled because I always forget about this and I end up auto running half the time when I don't want to. But if you're someone who really doesn't want to have your hands on the left stick to move forward or etc., you can swap it over to enabled. I keep it at disabled as well, along with automatic sprinting. A lot of these other ones I just keep at default at disabled. Vehicle camera recenter, parachute auto deploy. I have this one actually disabled so I can actually drop down a little bit faster. So if that's you, if you know that you're going to be paying attention when you're dropping out of the airplane and you want to get to the ground as quickly as you can without that chute deploying at a certain height and you want to get lower, then disable it. If you're someone who constantly forgets about that and you're constantly dying, maybe keep it enabled. But I like to keep this guy at disabled. I pay attention when I'm playing and it makes it so that my drop is that much quicker. So this is actually one of those secret ones that I would highly recommend. Film grain, I take that off completely. I don't need that. For tooltips, I keep it at just enabled. That's just the default guy. Subtitles, this one's your own personal preference. I actually like having subtitles on. So if you want that area a little cleaner, you can disable this guy. But personally, my own personal preference, I like having that on. For color blindness, I actually think it would be a smart move for you to put it on just because it makes it a little easier for you to spot some people with a nice bright orange color. So Pyrotonopia is the one that I choose here, and then interface, you don't want it to set to world or set to both because that'll affect everything in game as opposed to just a mini map, which makes it easier for you to spot people on the mini map. So I just like keeping it there. It doesn't affect the rest of the game, pretty much just the interface, which I think is the best part. World motion blur, I disable it. I guess this is also a preference for content creators. I know a lot of us keep it disabled. Maybe some of you guys like it, but I just keep that disabled along with weapon motion blur. For minimap, you want to keep that guy at a square because it actually makes it so you have more area to see. And then for minimap rotation, I keep that enabled. It just makes it easier for me to know in which direction I'm going for. Again, this is one of those that's personal preference, but if you're having trouble deciding, square and enabled is, in my opinion, the go-to. For compass, cardinal direction text, I actually like having numbers on there because if I say west or north, sometimes it'll trip me up and I don't know what direction to tell people to look at. So I just keep it at numbers. Again, this is personal preference as well. Whatever you find yourself doing when you're playing, do you find yourself getting annoyed when you see a W or a north or whatever, or do you not? If you're not bothered, I would keep it at letter. If you're bothered, put it back to just numbers. Alright, so for audio settings, I personally go with the boost high audio mix. I think it's the best one. It makes it easier for you to hear footsteps. That's just my own personal opinion on there. You can set the master volume to whatever you want. I personally have it at 25, but again, if you really got really good headphones and you really want to go for it, you can keep that guy 60-ish, 70-ish, whatever you personally decide. I think like a 68 would be good, or a 70 would be good, or 69, whatever you want. Just keep that to whatever your own personal preference is. Music, I take it off completely. If I wish there was a way to actually decide between in-game and then in the lobby, because I would be cool if it in the lobby, but I'd rather have it all off when I'm playing. It just makes it so much easier to spot footsteps. Dialogue, I keep it at 75. The effects volume, I keep it at 100. That's the one you want to keep up there. Juggernaut music, I disable it. Copyright strike personally for me as a content creator. And then hit marker sound, you can choose whatever you want. I use classic, but I like the Modern Warfare one as well. Again, your own personal preference as well. Anyways, guys, that is it for me. Hopefully you guys did find the video informative and helpful. If you did, drop a like on the video. It's super appreciated. If you guys are new, obviously make sure you guys are subscribed and have notifications on so you don't miss a single upload. But anyways, you guys have an amazing day. I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.